everybody, welcome back to the Sierra Sinistro channel and welcome to a new video. It has been way too long since I've said those words. So I'm having a hard time believing right now that it has been 5 months since I've uploaded my last video. I definitely didn't mean to just disappear from YouTube or my book blog or just like this whole space in general. A lot of stuff happened back in the fall, and if you want to know more, I wrote a blog post and it's right here. It's called like, hey, it's been a while, let's talk. And I kind of just like briefly talk about like why I left. So if you want to know more, you can go read that post, but the TLDR is just like life happened and I was starting school and I had some interpersonal stuff happening and work and just everything got in the way, and I just decided that I needed to eliminate some stressor in my life, and it just happened to be this. So yeah, it wasn't planned. I didn't mean to disappear, and I'm back though, and I'm feeling a lot better than I did. But with that, this is my first video that I'm posting of the new year, so happy 2021. We have made it, even though the events of the first week of this year have been absolutely insane in the United States. So today I decided that I was going to just do a really chill video and basically give you my 2021 reading list, which is also known as all of the unread books that I own. I'm not going to give like a detailed synopsis of all of them. I'll give you like my briefest idea of what they are because I haven't read the synopsis of some of these anyway. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk about these books that I own and need to get read in 2021, and let's go. So I'm going to start off with like some arcs that I got from a couple publishers. Unfortunately, I kind of disappeared around the time that some of these books were released, so I'm like way behind on even reading all of these books, so I'm sorry, but things happen. So this first book I got from Penguin Teen back in September, and it is Everybody Looking by Candace E. Lowe. So the TLDR about this book is that Ada is like the biggest sister, the oldest sister in this family, and she's kind of in charge of doing everything for the family. And I think my impression of this book, just from the brief overview of the synopsis, is that this is kind of like a coming of age story where Candace goes to school for the first time, like college, and she's away from her family for the first time, and it's about her finding and like kind of building her own way and kind of dropping her family's expectations of what she is supposed to do with her life. So that's kind of what I get from the vibe of this book, but again, haven't read it, barely read the synopsis today, so I am very sorry, but I am also very thankful to have received this arc from Penguin Teen, and I promise I will read and review it soon. So this next one was actually a complete surprise from HarperCollins, so thank you so much. This is Punching the Air. This is by Ibi Zoboi and Yusef Salaam. And this book, I, again, just read the synopsis today, but basically what I think I know about this book is that there's this boy who, our protagonist, and his name is Amal Shahid, and he's a 16-year-old boy, and basically I think he's really into like art, and then all of a sudden something happens and he's in prison. And the book is kind of like him looking back at his life and kind of recounting all of the implicit biases and all of the like racial things that has led up to him being in prison for this like random act. I don't know what it is that lands him in prison, but because of the cover with like a paintbrush, I'm like, okay, I think he's into art. And then this story itself is just him kind of like looking back at the events that led up to him being in prison as a 16-year-old black boy in America. So yeah, this sounds like it's going to be infuriating, but I'm going to give it a read and I will review it, and thank you so much, HarperCollins. Alright, so this is the last arc that I have in print, but I have other arcs that I will talk about later that are digital on my Kindle. So this last one's from Inkyard Press, and it was a total surprise, so again, thank you so much to them for sending me this book. This one is one of the good ones. It's by Micah and Maritza Malite, so I think these two authors are related. And basically the premise of this book is that the heroine's name, her name is Kezzy Smith, and she's a teen activist, and then under mysterious circumstances she just dies, she's murdered, and it's basically her family kind of trying to figure out like why she was murdered and then like her legacy. But the whole premise of this book and why it's called one of the good ones is that Kezzy is kind of immortalized in her death as being like this angelic sweetheart that didn't deserve to die under these circumstances, but the byline on the cover right here actually says like, shouldn't being human be good enough? So basically it's kind of trying to dismantle this idea that black people have to be good or have to be like outstanding citizens in order to not deserve to die. Yeah, another book that seems like it's going to be very infuriating, but I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna review it. I'm really sad because this book actually just came out. It was released on January 5th, so I just missed the pub date. I'm so sorry, but I will get to it. Okay, so these next two books I actually bought on my own back in August, so they've been sitting on my shelf for quite a while, but here we are, better late than never. The first one is The Grace Year by Kim Liggett. This is not a new release. This has been out for quite a while, I believe. It's been one of those books that have been on my like Goodreads like want to read list for a while, and then back in August I was like, alright, I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna read it finally, and then now it's January and I still haven't read it. But anyway, so the TLDR of The Grace Year, since this book has been out for a while, is that it's about like young girls, I think like 15 or 16, that are sent like out into the wilderness for their 16th, I believe, year, their 16th birthday, to like stay out in the wilderness, and because they have some kind of like powers, like it said that they're able to make women like jealous to madness or like drive guys mad. I don't know, it's something like some kind of wild magic that 15-year-old girls apparently have, and so they send them out to the wild on their 16th year so that they can like come back purified and ready for marriage, apparently. I don't know, the premise is kind of strange. But this book follows 16-year-old Tierney James, and she's a girl that's about to go on her grace year. She's 16, and I think the story is basically following her kind of trying to dismantle this idea of society where they have to pit like girls against each other, women against each other, and also there's some kind of plot twist where it says like, oh, the danger might not be the people that are out in the wilderness that are trying to get these girls and sell them on the black market. It might just be like the girls and the friendships between the girls that's the most dangerous. So there's some kind of plot twist in this book. Again, it's been sitting on my shelf for quite a while, so I need to pick it up and just read it. But yeah. So this is Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez. Again, some people have said that it's really good and some people have said that it's problematic, so I really don't know how I'm gonna feel about this book. So this book follows Ximena. She is like a decoy slash stand-in for the last remaining Condesa of her like society. There's some kind of person that comes in and forces her people out of the city, and this book is kind of like a revenge-driven plot where she's trying to get back at this person for driving her people out of their city. This book kind of has that trope where you like kind of go undercover and you're pretending to be somebody that you're not, because she is, I think this person that drives the people out of the city is asking for the real Condesa's hand in marriage, and Ximena is having to go in the real Condesa's place to like marry this evil person. I'm not even really sure, but the cool thing is that Ximena is able to like weave magic. Just struggling. Right, okay, so she can weave magic, she can weave thread from the moon. I think that's what it is. I think that's what her unique ability is, and she uses this ability to kind of leave decoded messages in tapestries that she weaves for the resistance, for people that are a part of the city that got forced out, and she's kind of telling them what's going on through these tapestries and this like ability to spin thread from the moon. So this is like a magical realism thing, but it also I think has a hint of like Bolivian history and culture, so I really don't know. It's going to be kind of like a cultural like learning thing for me, and I don't really think I'm gonna have much of a say about if it's problematic or not. I don't think that's my place. We're gonna see what happens, and yeah. Okay, so these last two books that I'm going to talk about are e-arcs that I have, so they're on my Kindle, so I'm just going to pop up a picture right here of them. But the first one is How It All Blew Up by Arvind Ahmadi. So How It All Blew Up follows Amir Azdi. He's an 18-year-old Muslim boy and he is gay. So on his graduation day of high school, he's actually blackmailed into like coming out to his parents because his high school bullies see him with a boy like kissing, and they take pictures and they threaten to like send it to his parents and out him basically. And he decides that he cannot live with that because he's very afraid that his parents will just kick him out and not love him anymore, so he kind of decides to hit the road on his own. He kind of takes a random international flight to Rome, and the story kind of takes off from there. He meets some people in Rome, and it's kind of like about learning to accept yourself and learning to like, it's about the LGBTQ struggle, and especially with like Muslim culture and like them not being approving, some people not being approving of like gay people. So it's a lot. It's heavy, but it's also pretty like humorous. I've started reading it already, so this is one that I have touched. And this last book I'm so stoked about because I actually just got the email this morning. This is another arc from Penguin Teen, so thank you so much to them. But I have just received my access to the sequel to A River of Royal Blood. So it is A Queen of Gilded Horns. This is by Amanda Joy, and it's a sequel to A River of Royal Blood. And if you don't, I'm not going to talk about the sequel's like synopsis because that'll give away something about the first book. But if you have never read A River of Royal Blood, it's basically about these two sisters on the cover of this book, and it's in this like setting where only one sister can rise to be the queen. So when there's twins, they have to like battle, and one of them has to die. So it's a battle to the death. And this is just like kind of picking up from where the last book left off. So I can't really tell you much about it without spoiling what happens in this one. But I'm so excited. I love this book. When I read it, I think I read it like a while ago, like last fall or something, so it's been a while. I might have to like breeze through this again just to refresh my memory, but I'm very excited and hopeful to see where this book goes, the sequel. Alright, so there you have it. Those are some of the books that I am going to be reading in 2021, mostly unread books, so that I can like get this off my conscience and then I will feel okay for buying new books. So thank you guys so much for watching. It's been quite a while since I've been on here, but I am back and I feel good. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next Sunday. Bye!